Welcome to this masterclass series on anticipatory cyber and digital diplomacy for African diplomats, brought to you by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Nigeria. Today's distinguished speaker, Ms. Manon Le Blanc, Coordinator for Cybersecurity Issues at the European Union External Action Services. Together, we explore the future of diplomacy, powered by Consultancy Support Services, CS2 Limited.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, my name is Manon Le Blanc and I'm the EU External Action Service Coordinator for Cyber Issues. It's a distinct honor to address you today on behalf of the European Union and to share some insights into the EU's approach to cyber diplomacy. Today, technology permeates every facet of human life, and we see that cyberspace has transformed into a pivotal domain, not only enabling essential services such as hospitals, banks, and transportation, but also reflecting geopolitical dynamics and competition, often with tangible physical consequences. In short, if digitalization and prosperity is one side of the coin, cybersecurity and digital vulnerabilities are the other side. Making sure that we globally reap the benefits of the good side of the coin rather than the bad one is what our goal is in cyber diplomacy. And this can seem like a difficult task sometimes. Cybercrime is on the rise with sometimes major consequences. And in 2021, a ransomware attack led to the shutdown of the largest fuel pipeline called Colonial Pipeline in the US for several days, triggering fuel shortages and panic buying across the American East Coast. While cybercrime can wreak havoc, we also need to contend with cyberspace playing a major part in escalating intelligence contests and conflicts. In Ukraine, for instance, cyber attacks are a common occurrence. They predated the war with cyber attacks as early as 2014, and they intensified at the onset of the war, notably when the Viasat satellite network was targeted, and they will likely continue after the guns are silenced. Cyberspace has become a fundamental part of geopolitical contest, and state-sponsored cyber activities can reach into the very core of our national critical infrastructure. Think, for instance, of the Volt Typhoon campaigns, uncovered since 2023, where state-sponsored groups maintain persistent access to some of the US critical infrastructure, such as transportation, communication, or water. Today, we are witnessing certain authoritarian states promoting a vision of cyberspace grounded in state control. This is not how we see cyberspace functioning, and it underlines the need for cyber diplomacy grounded in the responsibility of a wide range of stakeholders, including private companies, academia, and civil society. Authoritarian approaches to cyberspace challenges global norms, international security and stability, and it hampers economic developments. It profoundly impacts human rights and fundamental freedoms. In response, the European Union has proactively shaped a robust diplomatic policy dedicated to maintaining a global, open, free, stable, and secure cyberspace. Cyber ecosystems are vast, complex, and dynamic environments comprising technologies, legislation, policies, and a multitude of actors, including public and private entities, the military, the technical community, civil society, as well as end users. And in the following, I would like to share some of the key tenets of our EU approach in cyberspace with you today. Before we dive into cyber diplomacy as such, I would like to share some insights on what sets the EU apart from regular state or an international organization. What makes the EU approach to cyber diplomacy distinct is its unique institutional framework. The European Union harmonizes diverse national strategies amongst its 27 member states within a shared legal and policy environment, while national security remains the prerogative of each sovereign member state. This structure facilitates a unified stance internationally and fosters solidarity among our member states. And cyber diplomacy in the EU has evolved significantly since its inception in 2012, following first the establishment of a specialized cyber policy task force within the European External Action Service, and subsequently the publication of the EU's first comprehensive cybersecurity strategy in 2013. This early acknowledgement set the foundation for cyberspace as a key diplomatic arena. And cyber diplomacy plays a central role in advancing the EU's vision of cyberspace, building global partnerships, countering cyber threats, and working in tandem with the EU's international cybersecurity policies as well as our international partners. The Council of the EU serves as a central decision-making body, where national representatives from each member state negotiate and adopt EU laws and policies, positions, and coordinate operational responses. Within dedicated Council working groups, notably the Horizontal Working Party on Cyber Issues, member states and EU institutions, agencies, and bodies collaborate to define, implement, and monitor the EU cyber agenda. Further coordination occurs through dedicated networks from technically focused to politically minded ones, including the member states' national authorities, such as the EU Computer Security Incident Response Teams, the CERTS network, or the EU Cyber Ambassadors Network. Additionally, the EU delegations worldwide, including in your countries, play a central role in cooperating around multilateral issues on cyber and coordinating capacity building efforts. The complexity of cyber ecosystems necessitates an intricate governance framework, and the EU distinguishes 4 primary cyber communities: cybersecurity, cybercrime, cyber diplomacy, and cyber defense. Each community contributes uniquely to the broader cyber ecosystem, and the collaboration ensures a coherent, comprehensive cyber policy across all sectors. These communities collaborate with member states through the Council and dedicated EU networks, as well as with a broader set of stakeholders. And what is fascinating about cybersecurity is that one cannot think about its international aspects without looking at the domestic ones first. As such, before diving into cyber diplomacy properly, we need to tackle the internal cybersecurity dimension of the EU. Regulatory measures are the root of our work on cyber in the EU. It is the legal documents such as the General Data Protection Regulation and the Network and Information Security Directive which establish high standards for data protection and the protection of critical infrastructure within the EU, as well as, for instance, the Cyber Resilience Act, setting standards for ICT products and services. These efforts allow us to underpin our cyber diplomacy efforts. We have also realized in recent years that cascading and systemic effects of cyber attacks on our societies require us to have a stronger crisis management framework. What started with WannaCry and NotPetya attacks quickly turned into an almost daily occurrence of alarming cases, underscoring the urgent necessity to improve resilience and crisis management capabilities. Key steps in this direction include our latest 2020 EU cybersecurity strategy for the digital decade, which also includes the establishment of an EU cyber crisis blueprint and a cyber crisis task force, co-chaired by the European Commission's DG Connect and the EAS. The EU also combats cybercrime through a comprehensive legislation like the Directive on Attacks Against the Information System, which ensures stronger criminal penalties, cross-border cooperation, and harmonized laws to protect citizens and infrastructures from criminals in the digital age. All of this could not function if the EU did not also look at the international aspects of cyberspace. And the EU cyber diplomacy reflects a comprehensive, value-driven approach, emphasizing the rule of law, human rights, and multilateral cooperation. Our efforts aim at advancing peace and security in cyberspace, deterring and responding to cyber attacks, as well as building strong partnerships, including on capacity building. Let me elaborate on each of these pillars. As stated earlier, our EU value-driven approach to cyber diplomacy is firmly rooted in its commitment to international peace and security, multilateralism, the promotion and protection of human rights, democracy, the rule of law, and international cooperation. As such, we actively participate in international fora, such as the United Nations. We promote the UN framework for responsible state behavior in cyberspace, grounded in the application of international law, norms of responsible state behavior, confidence-building measures, and capacity building. We also engage with other international and regional organizations, including the Organization for Security Cooperation in Europe, the Organization of American States, the African Union, and the ASEAN Regional Forum. Cross-regional cooperation is particularly interesting when it comes to the development and implementation of cyber confidence-building measures, aimed at enhancing transparency, predictability, and cooperation. Furthermore, we are a strong advocate of the Council of Europe Budapest Convention on Cybercrime and have actively contributed to shaping the UN Cybercrime Convention in line with its values. And lastly, last year, we published together with the member states a declaration on a common understanding of the application of international law to cyberspace. This declaration reiterates that cyberspace is not a lawless domain and affirms that respect for the UN framework of responsible state behavior in cyberspace is essential to maintaining international peace, security, and stability. These efforts are essential for enhancing accountability in cyberspace and to ensure that state and non-state actors cannot conduct malicious cyber activities with impunity. To prevent, discourage, deter, and respond to malicious cyber activities, our approach to cyber diplomacy has matured in a sophisticated and multi-layered framework. Central to this effort is the EU Cyber Diplomacy Toolbox, which was first designed in 2017 and refreshed in 2023. The toolbox is designed to prevent, deter, and respond to malicious cyber activities through joint and coordinated actions, and plays a key role in our efforts to strive for accountability in cyberspace. It includes situational awareness, strategic communication, the use of diplomatic measures, including targeted sanctions. Indeed, the toolbox has become a pivotal instrument for the EU to uphold the UN framework for responsible state behavior in cyberspace and enforce accountability. Part of the toolbox, the EU adopted in 2019 an autonomous horizontal cyber sanctions regime for targeted restrictive measures to deter and respond to cyber attacks that have a significant effect and external threats to the Union or its member states. This has been an important milestone, as we recognized also in 2022, when our security environment in Europe radically changed with Russia's large-scale war against Ukraine. We recognized that we had to progressively implement a deterrence across the full spectrum, with measures implemented in a sustained and strategic manner. Therefore, our approach includes enhancing situational awareness and resilience, imposing costs on perpetrators, and building partnerships to strengthen global accountability. We strengthen global accountability, for instance, through collective condemnation and attribution of breaches and violation of the framework, but also through capacity building, enhancing resilience, and raising awareness on cyber threats. We also had to consider upgrading our cyber defense policies and frameworks, which prompted us to adopt an EU cyber policy on cyber defense in 2022. Driven by the EAS and the Commission services in close cooperation with the European Defence Agency, the policy aims to build resilience, enhance cooperation among national and EU cyber defense players, and between civilian and military cyber efforts, as well as invest in modern cyber defense capabilities. Finally, it enables further international cooperation, notably with partners like NATO, but also with other states. International cooperation remains central to cyber diplomacy, and the EU maintains extensive dialogues and collaborations with partners around the globe. This includes dedicated bilateral and regional cyber dialogues and consultations, practical cooperation to advance stability and security and counter cyber threats, as well as cyber capacity building initiatives across every continent. As much as possible, we try to mainstream cyber issues into the EU's broader partnership approach, with discussions on cyber issues included in political, security, defense, and digital dialogues. Our international engagements facilitate an exchange of view on cyber policies, cyber threats, and cooperation opportunities in areas such as enhancing resilience, securing critical infrastructure and digital economies, tackling cybercrime, and coordinating positions on cyber in multilateral and regional fora. Increasingly, we recognize the value of engaging all relevant stakeholders, like the private sector, civil society, and academia, as cyberspace is a complex, multi-layered environment. This aims to ensure an inclusive, effective, and sustainable approach to the development of global capacities, and strongly supports the multi-stakeholder approach to cooperation in cyberspace. Lastly, it's not just the EAS and the Commission engaging in international cooperation on cyber for the EU. At the technical and operational level, institutions like the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity, ENISA, and CERT-EU, the CERT of the EU institutions, significantly contribute to international cooperation. Now let me turn to cyber capacity building, which plays a pivotal role in our diplomatic engagement. By offering targeted support to partner countries, we aim to work together to enhance their legal, technical, and operational frameworks. We encourage all countries to reap the social, economic, and political benefits of the Internet and the use of information and communication technologies. And we continue to work with our partners to increase global cyber resilience and build capacities to address cyber threats and investigate and prosecute cybercrime. Currently, the EU CyberNet website, tracking the EU cyber capacity building efforts, registers 148 million for the EU cyber capacity building, spread across 26 EU-funded projects and 11 EU member state-funded projects. As a consequence, answering to the increased need for coordination of cyber capacity building actions, we had to strengthen our own coordination efforts, as well as invest in further coordination at the global level. This prompted us to engage with initiatives like the Global Forum on Cyber Expertise and adopting an EU External Cyber Capacity Building Board to enhance the EU's strategic guidance and cooperation in this realm. We seek to support a needs-based initiatives that address the priorities of developing countries, ensuring that no one is left behind in the digital age. Dear ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my brief overview of cyber diplomacy so far. But looking forward, we do not only see continuously complex geopolitical landscape, we also see new challenges posed by emerging and disruptive technologies like artificial intelligence and an ever-accelerating digitalization. Achieving effective cybersecurity objectives demands a multidisciplinary approach, and one that fosters improved coordination and cooperation across civilian and military sectors and engages both public and private partners. By sharing situational awareness and best practices, we can build the resilience needed to advance partnerships and effectively respond to emerging threats and malicious cyber activities. As the EU, we actively support Africa's path towards digitalization, making sure that it is secure and smart while aligning our diplomatic and technical cooperation efforts for an Africa and Europe that is secure, resilient, and prosperous. We aim for our cybersecurity dialogues, our training programs, and our capacity building cooperation to increase cyber resilience, deepen mutual understanding, and enable a coordinated response to cyber threats affecting both Europe and Africa. Our partnership is instrumental in fostering international security and stability, economic prosperity, and a secure digital environment. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my briefing. It was my utmost pleasure to share the EU's path on cyber diplomacy with you. Thank you very much, and hopefully see you soon in person.